What's up, guys? My name is Khan and we're back today with more Stormworks, and it has been a little bit since the last Stormworks video, but that's because the devs did a bunch of updates to the game, and in those updates it pretty much broke all of my ship designs. So I went back, rebuilt some of the interiors of the ship designs to get better engine layouts, and on top of that, the devs have added what they're calling the limited fuel update. So I had to restart the whole survival mode game because now we have fuel and our ships don't actually spawn with fuel. So today we're actually going to use the limited fuel update, and you can see our tank here is almost empty. We only have 2,200 liters left, which isn't really that much, and we need to go and get some more diesel to fill up this tank. So we got to go on the map here and travel all the way from that island over to here and buy some diesel fuel. There's various places around the map. You can see here we could sell some diesel for $1.55 a liter. We can buy it here for $1 a liter. So you can actually play around with a whole different economy that has nothing to do with the missions. So you can see here, I have been doing a bunch of the missions. I've got a bunch of the islands unlocked again, but I figure what we're gonna do today is I've got a really small oil tanker ship. I don't have a lot of parts unlocked yet. I really wanna build a bigger oil tanker, but I've got a very small one. So we're gonna take it from our Coast Guard outpost here. We're gonna drive over, pick up some crude oil, then we'll go all the way down over here, sell our crude oil, pick up some diesel, and bring the diesel back and fill up our tank here at our Coast Guard outpost so we have fuel again. Basically, how'd we get in the water? So every vehicle we have has to have fuel in it, and if we actually take the vehicle and we return it to the workbench with fuel in it, that fuel gets lost. Every time you spawn it, it has no fuel in the tank. So we're actually gonna take this hose, we're gonna drain whatever fuel's left in this boat. We'll get rid of this boat, we'll spawn in the oil tanker I've got. Now the oil tanker is really, it's just sort of like a boat with a giant oil tank. I believe it can hold 13,000 liters or something like that. But of course, it does sit pretty low in the water when you do that. So let's just grab this connector here, jump onto our boat. Okay, and then the fuel port for this one's up on the front. We'll just hook that in. Perfect. So with the devs update, I did have to modify this boat. Originally, this boat was 2 engines running through 2 gearboxes to 2 props in the back, and that made it kind of like a speedboat. And then the devs went and they updated the game and they changed the way the engine powers work. So that boat was no longer a speedboat. So I've changed it now, and now it's a speedboat again, but now it has 4 props in the back and 8 engines. So it kind of sucks back about 2,000 liters of fuel every time you take it out. And as a result, we're pretty much empty on the tank here. So the oil tanker ship is a little bit different. It uses 4 engines to power 3 props, and it goes okay, but it's pretty slow when you're full of fuel. Without fuel, it actually sits pretty high in the water, so it's pretty quick. Now, this is a vanilla tanker in that if you start career mode and you have no parts unlocked, you can use this tanker. And I did that on purpose. As soon as they came out with the limited fuel update, I thought, you know, it's really important to have a tanker that you can use right away in case you drain this tank. Because as far as I know, if you drain all the tanks at all your bases and you can't make it to the place where you can buy diesel fuel, I don't think there's anything you could do. I'm pretty sure you're just screwed and have to restart the whole game. So it's very important you always have some fuel left in this tank, and you can see there it's actually done. So we'll just disconnect that, reel in the hose, and then we can return this to the workbench. So you can see this ship pretty much the same as it always has been, except now if we do a section plane, you can actually see it's a little bit more dicey inside here. So you've got half the engine showing here, 4 of them, and then you can see a ton of extra fuel tanks in the front. So it's really a crazy design, but it works quite well. It's super quick, and it's a really good work boat. You can just see all the piping, and they're absolutely ridiculous. But much more organized than the previous one was, and definitely a lot better than the previous one. However, it does suck back the fuel. So we're gonna spawn in the basic tanker. I know it doesn't look like much. It's pretty much as big as I could make it and still fit it inside the spawn area. You can see the nose goes up to the front. So again, this is a tanker. I do want to make a much bigger one that could hold like 100,000 plus liters and make like a super tanker and make a ton of money buying and selling fuel, because I think that would just be a super awesome way to play the game. But this tanker here, you can see pretty much straightforward. Big tank here in the middle, giant open void here, just a custom tank shape. It'll fill up from this port. And then in the back, we've got our 4 engines going to our 3 props. And then way up in the front here, we've actually got all the fuel tank storage, which for some reason aren't painted, but that's the fuel tank storage for the 4 engines. So we've got 2 fuel ports here, 1 here to fill up the front tanks, and then 1 here to fill up the entire main tank. And we should be able to spawn this. It's gonna, of course, spawn with no fuel. It's pretty rough waters out here, but we're in between missions right now, so I don't exactly want to sleep and wait for better weather. Pretty much just have to go, get her done, because if a mission spawns, you got to go and do those Coast Guard missions. Don't want to fail any of those. Walk around back here. Here we go. Perfect. Now we're on the boat. The hose itself doesn't really have any collisions, but the connector still kind of incorporates the hose weight, if that makes any sense. Seems like it anyways. I'm not sure if that's actually the case, but we've got it hooked up now, so we can just reel this in a little bit and just, you know, bring our ship a little bit closer. And there we go. Perfect. That's pretty good. And then we'll just pump to hose. I believe it's going to take about 1,800 liters to fill it. And the big red tank there, the tank inside the boat itself, that can hold 13,000 liters. But the tanks aren't connected in any way. So if the boat runs out of fuel, there's no way that we can actually connect it to that one because you don't have pipe valves and stuff with the start of the career mode. So again, it's a really, really basic tanker if you're starting career mode. It's so basic that we don't even have a meter to see how much fluid is in that tank. I had to go into creative mode and check what the capacity of the tank was because you can't even tell. There's no parts. So it's one of those tankers where if you start the game and you want to be able to refuel this initial base, then you can just spawn this tanker and it's good to go. All right, so perfect. Let's start this up. Kind of a little sideways here. Let's just engage the clutch kind of slowly. Yeah, no, it's, oh, good thing. Oh, goodness. Scraping the whole side of the boat here. All right, let's just go. This might be a little difficult to do in bad weather, but you can see we actually float super high in the water right now. It's obviously full of nothing, so it's pretty easy to drive around. It gets a fair amount of speed. Did take me a little bit of time once the engine powers changed to actually, you know, figure out how it all worked, but it's a pretty decent boat. It's got a single exhaust port on the back, just kind of built into the deck. The 2 air intakes on top of the tank there. Just because when it is full of fuel, sometimes that back deck gets a little bit flooded. But we're gonna go really quick here because we've got pretty much no weight, and we're gonna bounce around on the waves. And then hopefully we don't run out of gas between here and the depot. Luckily, when we get to the refinery, we'll fill both our tank and the big tank with diesel, and that way we should be good to go. Of course, the sun's probably going down, isn't it? It always goes down right when you want to film a video. All right, so we're approaching the crude dock. You can see that little like blue crane there. That's what we got to line up with. So we'll actually just cut the engines here and just drift right into it. And while that's drifting, should just hit it really. We'll get up in there and drop the crane down and just try and snag it with the connector. These are some rougher seas, so hopefully we can. Yeah, it's good. I can't wait to have a huge ship. Like, I'm really working in survival mode to get the parts unlocked to build a huge oil tanker, because I'm pretty sure making your money with, like, a giant super tanker that can make $100,000+ with every trip would be absolutely awesome. So, is our connector low enough? I think so. I think with the waves, maybe. We might need to, you know what? We might need to give it a little bit more slack. Hose out a little bit more. Okay, now let's see if we can. Uh-oh. Yeah, hurt just a little bit. It's fine. Grab this. Perfect. Now we have to go back up. The one thing that I'm really excited about with Stormworks is the devs have been talking about a huge update that's coming out later, and that's going to involve adding a set of islands that are sort of connected to each other with roadways and with trains. So you're going to actually be able to build trains and trucks and stuff like that. I mean, you can build trucks now, but your trucks are really only for your one island, but you're actually gonna be able to build trucks that transport over a much further distance. So I'm kind of excited about that because it's gonna add, hopefully, some other forms of economy rather than just doing missions in this game. And I really like the fact that, you know, it kind of gives you that option of what do you want to do, and it doesn't limit you to being stuck to just doing the same Coast Guard missions. All right, so because we don't really have a gauge on that, all we got to do is just kind of wait until the money stops ticking in the top corner. And then when the money stops ticking down, then we know that we've basically bought all the crude that we can fill into that tank. So we're just going to basically sit here and see how long it takes before the money is empty. I want to try something because I didn't really think of this. Is it possible to break the connector just by driving away in the boat? Do we really have to winch it in? Because obviously the connector's holding the boat here, but can we just drive away with it? Let's just see what we can do here. So we're full of crude. Let's rev our engines up here a little bit. Go reverse. All right, now full forward. Is this gonna work? Not even close. Holy cow, that is the strongest cable known to man. Okay. Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, wow. All right, I wonder if you have a super tanker, if it could break, or if that cable is just invincible. That is the most I thought for sure that was gonna work. We could just pull the cable away and drive off. It would have been a lot easier, maybe like a quick disconnect thing. All right, I guess we'll just come up here and release it. That's fine. Release. All right, so I've already set the waypoint over there, 6.4 kilometers, and we'll just get going. You can see the boat, the back deck there sometimes gets a little bit flooded as we're going over these waves full of fuel, but you know what? It still actually handles a pretty good speed. And it's not bad. It was funny, when I first built this boat, I actually filled it up with about 20,000 liters and the boat sank. So I had to go back and redo the entire tank design, make it slightly smaller, make it only 13,000. All right, so we're finally approaching the refinery island. Now, this island was added with the limited fuel update, I believe, and it allows you to sell it crude oil and then buy diesel as well as jet fuel. So obviously you need diesel for the diesel engines and jet fuel for any jet engines or jet turbines and stuff like that. But I believe crude oil is way at the back, so we're actually going to go in reverse, and that way we can hopefully unload the crude from the back port there while we load up diesel to the front tanks, and then we'll just route the diesel over. It's really cool, all the new stuff that they're adding to survival mode, and when they add trains and stuff, it's going to feel less like a Coast Guard game and more just like a survival vehicle building exploration type game. Like, you build different types of vehicles for all the stuff you want to do, and that's pretty awesome. So we're just gonna sit right here. I think we're good. Fuel tank there is full. Actually, let's turn the lights off so we don't drain the battery. That's probably a good idea. So we'll bring the crude oil crane over, unload that crude, make some money, and then hook up the diesel, fill up this, and then also fill up the main tank with diesel as well. And then that way we can bring that back to our main base, and hopefully we'll be good to go. So we've got the crude crane here. You know what? Let's just lower it right there. That's probably good enough. We're gonna have to kind of drag the boat forward a little bit anyways. I think if we're going to make a super tanker as well, it would make sense to have the super tanker have its own winches and hoses on it, so you can just deploy the winch off the super tanker and bring it to this one. Be a little bit easier to connect up. Should be good here now, though. We can just grab this. Come on. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Excellent. And then the diesel one is over there, so we'll just bring that one over as well. All right, so we're pumping diesel into the tanks now. We're pumping crude out from the main tank. Obviously, the main tank's going to take a little bit longer, and basically now we just got our money going up and down as we sell crude and buy diesel. So basically, just got to play the waiting game again until we stop seeing the money moving, and then we're good to go. Load this up with more diesel and bring it back to the main base. So I guess the question that everyone's asking, now that we've got this hooked up to 2 points, is can we actually just lift the boat right out of the water? The one connector was strong enough. So if we have 2, can this... I mean, this is a terrible idea. Does this work? Does this actually work? This is amazing. I think they definitely need a tolerance on these connect... Look at that. That's fantastic. I'm pretty sure from a regulation standpoint, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, we're slowly pumping crude out from the ship as we're pumping diesel into it, and we're holding the ship out of the water. I mean, this is great. It's like a dry dock almost. You could just work on the ship and, you know, do whatever you want. All right, so it's finally drained the crude oil. The one thing I will say about this new limited fuel update is it's really awesome that you can buy and sell fuel and all that, but it takes a really long time to transfer fuel through these lines. Now, I'm not sure if it's because we don't have any pumps on our ship here. We can install pumps once we unlock those parts. So maybe it's just, you know, you need a pump on your ship to increase the pressure to go through the connector. I'm not exactly sure, but these connectors are really, really slow. So we're done with this one. We can turn that off, and you know what? We'll turn this one off as well, and we'll just disconnect them one at a time. So hopefully this doesn't do anything. Here we go, connector release. That's good. It's perfect. All right, and then we'll just we'll connector release this one. Oh, it's caught in the. It's okay. We'll just lower the hose. It's fine. Grab that connector, and hopefully hook it up to the back. Oh, goodness. Come on. Come on, you. There we go. Perfect. All right, now we just gotta fill this one up again. Pump to hose. Yes, hose in. Reel that in a little bit just to, you know, put some tension on it. That's fine. And we'll start filling up the tank again. And luckily for you guys don't have to sit here and watch. But, of course, I have to sit here and watch. And like I said, I really hope there's a way to do this faster. Because if you have a big, big ship, like something that fills this whole dock up and carries, you know, 100,000 liters plus, I mean, there's no way you're going to sit here for like an hour. I mean, I guess it's realistic. In real life, these ships don't fill instantly as well. Maybe it's a pump thing. Definitely when we unlock the parts, I'll be remaking a better fuel tanker. Of course, if you guys know the answer why it is this way, let me know in the comments down below. You spend a lot of time when you're doing these fuel runs just waiting for stuff to fill. So it would be nice if there was a way to speed that up. In the meantime, we'll just wait again until the cash stops flowing, and hopefully we can unlock a fluid part here soon. The only unfortunate thing about doing these oil missions is you don't really unlock parts the way you do when you do the Coast Guard missions. Coast Guard missions, you unlock blueprints, parts, all sorts of stuff. And with these oil transfer missions, you make a bunch of money, but really you're just, and actually we probably just lost money on this because we're selling crude, which isn't really worth that much, and we're buying diesel. So we're definitely losing money, but you know, might as well sell some crude if we're driving here anyways. So I'm pretty sure the tank is full. The money has stopped flowing. So we're just gonna lift our hose up here just to make sure, and then we'll release that connector. Look at that, perfect. Gets the hose right out of the way. And we should be able to just take our boat here, head on back. And of course, it's nighttime again, because it's always seemingly nighttime for some reason whenever we're doing these kinds of things. And we'll just head on back to the waypoint. What really has me excited about this new Stormworks update, and the main reason I want to do a video on it, is just to show that with the limited fuel update, it really promotes us making sort of motherships and having like one big ship that can actually handle all your day-to-day operations. Have a ship that can hold fuel for all your different things, can dock with the refinery, fill up on diesel, fill up on jet fuel, have helicopter pads and all sorts of stuff, because then you could have one base rather than having to distribute fuel to all your individual bases. And I really think it's cool how with the advanced building mode, you've got to do all the piping systems yourself and really manage all that. And you can have a fuel tanker with different compartments that can be connected with valves and all sorts of cool stuff like that. So I'm really excited about it. And I'm really excited to get building more in Stormworks. We are finally approaching our home island again, where we are in desperate need of diesel fuel. There's that familiar green shed. Always love seeing that. Always seems to be nighttime too. We'll just drive straight in here, and hopefully we can just pump all the fuel from this tank, fill up the tank that we've got at this base, and then we'll be good to go for many more missions. So let's just bonk right in there. Perfect. And we'll just jump out here and get filling this up. Of course, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you want me to continue with the Stormworks survival type stuff, or do you want me to do more crazy builds in Stormworks? I'm working towards getting better parts, obviously. Just with the fluid update, had to restart the whole survival game with limited fuel option enabled. But now that we've got that enabled, I have pretty much gotten back to the point where I was at. If you guys just want me to build like absolutely large, crazy stuff, then let me know about that as well. I could do some creative mode stuff as well. The one thing I like about survival is each of the ships we build sort of progresses from smaller ships to bigger and to bigger. So obviously this ship plus the other speedboat that I've shown, they're both completely done with just the base parts. And as we unlock more parts, I'm really excited to start, you know, enhancing our ships and getting bigger and better ones. So we're just going to pump into the tank. Hopefully we fill this tank. I mean, if we don't fill this tank, I'm going to be very disappointed. It should be 13,000 liters. That took way too long. The sun's coming up on the second day here. All right, you can see the boat is sitting a lot higher now, so the tank must be getting close to empty. It's still pumping, which is good. It means I think we've still got fuel left in the tank. Of course, there's no way of actually measuring that right now, so I honestly don't know. But when this stops pumping, if this gauge is full, we'll back this out and leave it out there, because that means there's potentially more fuel in the tank. But if the gauge is not full when it stops pumping, then pretty much we can assume the tank is empty. I think this gauge is going to be full, though. I'm pretty sure that's filled with 13,000 liters. And yeah, we're just hitting the 13,000 mark here. But we had about, I think, what was it, 1,500 in the tank or something before? So it should stop pumping here. Yeah, 13.5. So this tank is full, and we've still got fuel in there. So we're just going to pump the tank off, connector release. We're going to bring the hose in, and we're going to just park this out in the bay, and hopefully it won't get completely wrecked by like the waves or something. All right, so hopefully we can leave this boat here. We'll just bring it down to 0 throttle. We'll shut it off, and hopefully it doesn't go too far. But of course, let me know what you guys think of this game in the comments down below. And like I said, would you like me to continue with survival builds and keep progressing through the game and sort of doing different missions as we go along with different builds? Or would you like me to actually just go straight into creative and do absolutely crazy stuff, kind of like what we do in Scrap Mechanics? So of course, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. And while you're at it, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.